1. Write the synonyms for the following words. A. Journey, expedition, trip, tour. B. Stench, stink, reek, miasma. C. Ill-mannered, rude, unmannerly, impolite. A. Reasonable, unreasonable, illogical, A. Reasonable, unreasonable, illogical, excessive. B. Foolish, intelligent, sensible, wise. C. Brunette, blonde, white, good. 3. Use the following words in sentences of your own. A. Flights of fancy, young lovers often engage themselves in flights of fancy. B. Squelch, the detective squelched around the house in search of a vital clue. C. Spectroscopic astronomers make use of spectroscopic measurements to study emissions from the sun. 1. What does the speaker tell about the location of the apartment? The speaker in Wole Soyinka's telephone conversation describes the location of the apartment as indifferent or moderately fine. She finds the price reasonable and is relieved to hear that the landlady lives away from the apartment's premises. 2. Why does the speaker reveal he is African? Wole Soyinka's speaker is not personally ashamed of being black or African. However, he chooses to reveal her racial identity to the landlady, as she is well aware of the racial prejudices prevalent in the 1960s. He does not want to waste time by coming to see the apartment, in case the landlady dislikes black tenants. The speaker refers to this moment as a self-confession. 3. How does the landlady simplify her question to make the man understand it? When the black speaker in Soyinka's telephone conversation reveals his racial identity, the conservative white landlady grows more curious to know how dark the former's complexion is. She raises the question, how dark are you, light or very dark? The speaker is stupefied at this direct question and becomes unable to answer for a while. Sensing the silence on the other end, the lady rephrases her question, this time putting it more lightly, are you dark or very light? 4. Why does the poet make use of the color red repeatedly? When he calls the landlady, he is stupefied at the former's demand to elaborate his skin complexion. He suddenly smells a rancid breath hiding beneath her polite speech. She is dumbfounded for a second and looks at her immediate surroundings to make sure if it is a dream. When she sees a red booth, red pillar box, and red double-tiered omnibus around her, she suddenly regains her consciousness and demands the question to be further simplified. 1. Humor in the poem. In telephone conversation, Wole Soyinka cleverly makes use of humor to criticize the prevailing racial prejudices. The black speaker's series of replies to the white landlady are indirect, thoughtful and witty at the same time. When asked to describe his skin tone, the speaker retorts if she meant that skin was of the color of regular or milk chocolate. When the landlady rephrases her question, the speaker tactfully replies, West African sepia, down in my passport. The landlady's racial prejudice of white supremacy receives a last blow when the speaker mockingly reveals that though his face is brunette, his palms and foot soles are peroxide blonde. As a final remark, he adds that his bottom has turned raven black due to all the friction from sitting down. When he asks if the lady wants to see that for real, she slams the phone in disgust. 2. How does the speaker describe his complexion? When the white landlady in Wole Soyinka's telephone conversation asks the black speaker to describe his complexion, he wittingly describes it as white African sepia, down in my passport. The term is often used to refer to vintage black and white photographs with a reddish-brown texture. Here, the speaker borrows the term to sarcastically taunt the ignorance and racist prejudices of the white landlady. 3. Write a note on the two characters in the poem. Wole Soyinka's poem, Telephone Conversation, has two interesting characters, a white landlady and a black man, engaged in a telephone conversation. The speaker, an alter ego of the poet himself, is imaginative and witty. The landlady, on the other hand, is naive and ignorant. She seems to be ignorant and unapologetic of the dehumanizing effects of racism on mankind. 4. How does Soyinka end the poem and what is the message that he gives? Wole Soyinka ends the poem, Telephone Conversation, on a sarcastic note. When the landlady asks the black speaker to describe his complexion, he replies, West sepia, down in my passport. When the landlady sounds confused by the fitting reply, Soyinka elaborates on by saying that though his face is dark, his palms and soles are peroxide blonde. He adds that his bottom has turned raven black due to all the friction from sitting down. When he asks if the lady wants to see that for real, she slams the phone in disgust. 1. Telephone Conversation, as a poem on racial prejudice. Wole Soyinka, the Nigerian playwright, poet and essayist, has always been an outspoken opponent of racism and totalitarianism. He was awarded the prestigious Nobel Prize in Literature in 1986 for his outstanding cultural perspectives and poetic overtones of existence. Soyinka's 1963 poem, Telephone Conversation, is yet another testament to his genius and is one of the widely read poems in his literary oeuvre. It is a scathing satire on the various racial prejudices prevailing in the contemporary society. The poem begins as a telephone conversation between two individuals, a black man looking for a rented apartment and a white landlady. The lady, who appears to be friendly at the outset, begins to reveal her true colors when the speaker states that he belongs to a black ethnicity. Without any hesitation, she asks him to describe the degree of his darkness. She is too curious to know more about the depth of his skin tone. If he is light or very dark. The speaker is shocked to hear this racial query of the lady. He is dumbfounded for a moment and looks around his surroundings, just to ascertain that he is not in a state of dreaming. Sensing the silence on the other end, the lady rephrases her question, this time putting it more lightly, are you dark? Or very light? The speaker immediately recovers from his state of stupor and decides to retaliate in a sarcastic way, so as not to offend the lady in a direct way. He asks her if she wanted him to confirm whether his skin tone was plain or milk chocolate. He adds that his complexion could be best described as West sepia, a term often used to refer to vintage black and white photographs with a reddish-brown texture. Here, the speaker borrows the term to sarcastically taunt the ignorance and racist prejudices of the white landlady. The final few lines of the poem serve as the last nails on the coffin of racism. The speaker says that though his face is brunette, or dark, his palms and foot soles are peroxide blonde. As a final remark, he adds that his bottom has turned raven black due to all the friction from sitting down. When he asks if the lady wants to see that for real, she slams the phone in disgust. Here Soyinka's verses exercise a purgative effect. The telephone conversation, which takes place between two individuals, is an eye-opener to a racist society. It should be kept in mind that the Western civilization exploited Africa in the guise of regressive ideologies like apartheid. Wole Soyinka uses many techniques to convey racism in the poem. He resorts to techniques such as repetition, use of color, capitalization, ellipses, and satire. When the landlady asks, how dark? Are you light or very dark? The use of repetition reinforces racism. The repetition of the light and dark indicates that the landlady cannot see a person as he is, but only in terms of his color. Similarly, throughout the poem, the poet makes repeated reference to different colors. He uses words such as dark, light, red, brunette, peroxide blonde, and black. The focus on color is the central interest of the poem and it signifies racism.